Hello, and welcome to the December wrap-up. What I am anticipating to be an exceptionally short video because the month of December absolutely fucking stank the gaff out. It sucked. We averaged a 2.92. That's pretty good. I hope that your December reading went better. If it didn't, I didn't give up reading at that point. Let me know what you read. Did you end off the year with any new favourites? Did you end off the year like I did? The first thing I read is Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rules, which was chosen by Jimmy for the kind of extended discussion video. That was the book he chose. Don't ask me why. It's what he chose. It was an interesting book because the only thing I know about the book now, I'd never heard of it before. I know a lot of Americans are going to be very surprised by that because evidently it is a revered classic with a lot of reviews, a lot of ratings and stuff. I never heard of it. I didn't know there was a film. I didn't know anything about it. And I think if you asked most English people or like British people, they would say the same. Or basically anyone outside of America, they would say the same. The thing that's interesting is that from the sounds of it, Wilson Rules was a kind of an everyman in the sense of he wanted to be a writer. At some point he had burned all his previous writings. Then he decided he was going to write a book and in like 2 weeks wrote this, and then his wife edited it and tidied it up and it instantly sold and got published in like a newspaper or something and then became a big hit. And so from the perspective of like a working class guy getting the opportunity to write something and putting something out and actually getting it published and stuff, and the way that he kind of reveres a working class background in the book, positive. Unfortunately, this also falls back on a lot of working class 1960s viewpoints, which is very conservative, very kind of traditional storytelling. You should fear God and he will repay you for it. If you revere him, he will provide you with what you need. That kind of messaging. It's the classic animals getting hurt so you feel bad kind of Marley and Me storytelling as well. Things that I don't enjoy, unfortunately. From the actual reading of the book, I gave it a 2 stars. I didn't really enjoy the book. I found myself frustrated in quite a lot of places with the viewpoints of the characters and the viewpoint of the authors, like messaging, the way it was being told to us. Yeah, it's a 1960s working class conservative American author. I, alas, do not have much in common with a 1960s working American man and their view of childhood masculinity and all that kind of jazz. But Jimmy and I will be discussing it because I'm interested to know. I'm interested to know what the fuck made him choose it. Honestly, we'll start there and we'll go from there. But after that, if you've watched my best books of 2025, this was an honourable mention because I'd only just finished it at the time of filming, and that was Solenoid, which, I mean, I have not pronounced the author's name yet because I don't know how and it's been scaring me, so I've been avoiding it in the last videos and stuff. Solenoid is madness incarnate. It is what happens when you give an insane man this many pages. Communist Romania, and we are experiencing the life of a school teacher and his surreal existence from the school that he works in that is so large and so dank, full of so many rooms that they've run out of letters and numbers, that they're now using symbols and other languages to designate the classrooms, and he never knows what room he's meant to go into, to his house, which has a dentist's office inside of it, and he has to go through the dentist's he has to go through his bedroom to get to the dentist's office and stuff. Bizarre, surreal nonsense that is fascinating. It's this rumination on what the purpose of life, the fear of death, all kinds of massive themes. A lot of modern kind of Western writers have a kind of now dance around and don't really go into the big existential themes as much, I feel like, when you look at a lot of modern literature. It's more interpersonal and everything. Whereas this is pure kind of existential exploration through a surreal understanding of the universe and his place inside of it. So it's nutty, it's balmy. This was the highlight of the month. I gave it 4.5 stars. Really recommend Solenoid if you want to read a very small, small amount of a book a day and delve into someone's completely alien existence. As I've said previously in the other video, would warn that the author falls into the same pitfalls that all of these writers do, the Murakamis and all the male tome writers, which is that the ableism and sexism has to be proliferated throughout, and like a bad case of thrush, it just keeps on coming back every time during this book. So warnings for that. But from my perspective, because it's such a bizarre and different view of the world and the universe and your understanding of your place within it, it didn't affect me as much, because that didn't feel like it was coming from anywhere other than this bizarrely surreal human. Like, it didn't feel like it was real beliefs. It felt like it was this person's beliefs, but they were a composite of bizarreness. I don't know whether that made any sense, but that is how I felt. And finally, I read all of the Chronicles of Narnia. I read all 7 books in what can only be described as a fit of madness. I thought, I'll read The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe for Christmas. That'll be nice. And I thought I'd read at least a few of the Narnia books. Little did I know The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe is the only one that takes place during winter. Was not aware. So I read... we'll go chronologically. We'll go through all 7 to give a quick review. The Magician's Nephew is... That's all right. I give it 3 stars. That was all right. It's the retelling of Genesis, where God is a fucking lion, and yeah, that's it. But that one was alright. Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, book 2, good. Gave it 3.5. That one was the one that had the most sense of whimsy and discovery, the most amount of... It was just a really good book, and the frustrating things were the kind of religious aspects. Like, one of our characters, who's just an asshole, has one conversation with Aslan, and we don't even hear it, and now he's a good boy. And it's like, okay, he discovered God, fantastic. But, you know, there are plenty of people in the world who believe in God and are bad people. I need to have the actual journey of them becoming good. I don't need to be told that they spoke to God once and now they're fucking fine. So that was frustrating. But otherwise, the fucking witch was a great villain. Aslan was fun. The kids loved Lucy. Edmund being a prick was entertaining. I liked Peter. Susan, unfortunately, is just a bit of a loose one there, kind of left over. And once again, the sexism is present, the kind of prejudice in the sense of they're given presents and Peter's given a sword and shield to fight because he's a big boy. But Susan's given a bow, but she shouldn't use it because she's a woman. And Lucy's given a healing potion because she's a woman and shouldn't be involved. I should specify to C.S. Lewis, it's important to specify that they're little girls and they should not be involved. But Peter's a big boy and so he can fight. Then we go to, but this is also chronological order, not publication order. This comes in chronological order. So then I read The Horse and His Boy, and that was shit. That's book 2. No. The Horse and His Boy is book 3, chronologically. And in that one, we're following this young boy in the country of Calamen or something. Yeah, Calamen. The C.S. Lewis describes the Calamani, or however you pronounce it, as essentially as smelly turban wearers on the first page. He decides to make that known. He's like, they're not all bad, but mostly they're smelly and they wear turbans. So that instantly had my fucking like my hackles up, whatever they're called. So then we go from there to, we're following Shasta, who is this young boy who's going to be sold into slavery by his father and escapes with a talking horse called Bree. And the horse tells him, no, 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 no. You're not one of these disgusting savages, these, dark-skinned, smelly turban wearers. You're part of the enlightened white people from Narnia, and we need to get you back to Narnia because you're a good little boy. You're a good little white boy. You need to get out of here. And so we follow them as they fucking escape back to the enlightened white paradise of Narnia. So that one made me fucking sick. So that one wasn't good. That was the point where I thought, originally I was going to read 3 and then kind of leave it there for a while and then read 1 a month or something. But when I finished The Horse and His Boy, I thought, if I don't keep going now, I'm never going to come back after reading that. But they're only 100 pages long each, and I want to finish the Chronicles of Narnia so I can actually speak on it. So I ground through. Next up was Prince Caspian. Prince Caspian was pure whiplash, because Prince Caspian is a rebellion story. It is a resistance story. It's completely antithetical to the mind, the thought process that was involved in The Horse and His Boy, because Prince Caspian is the idea that the kids have gone back now. So they went back to the real world, and now they're going back to Narnia, and hundreds of years have gone by. So that Narnia has been taken over by the Calamen. And, or is it someone else? I forget exactly what race it is. Oh, Telmarine. They've been taken over by the Telmarine, which are kind of like this militaristic force that have invaded and colonized Narnia. And we're following the resistance group of Caspian and the kids and the talking animals and the beasts of Narnia, the original inhabitants of this land who have been colonized. And it's about the preservation of culture and the preservation of ideals and of beauty and the idea of fighting against colonialism. So it's fucking bizarre to read this book, which, like, obviously it's more like when you it's more the idea of like the view of like druids and like that, like the idea of lost mythology on the British Isles, like a lot of Gaelic things and stuff like that. That's more, I think, intrinsic to this story is the allegory, the idea of the same way that Tolkien's talking about the lost mythology and everything. That's kind of what C.S. Lewis is also pointing at, rather than the British colonialism. And it's this bizarre kind of dissonance that is inside of C.S. Lewis's understanding. The same way that he has young girls as protagonists, but also has and increases the amount of sexism and misogyny, is this dissonance that he has. And the same way that he can be anti-colonial and resistance-based in this, and also so deeply embedded in these horrific stereotyping of countries that would have been under British rule at the time and still part of the Commonwealth and everything. In his lifetime. So that's bizarre. But Prince Caspian was 3 stars. That was the last good one. And then we go to Dawn of the Voyage. No, god damn it, every time. Voyage of the Dawn Treader only has Lucy and Edmund in it because Peter and Susan are told they can't come back anymore. God won't let them back anymore, and by that I mean Aslan says they can't come back anymore. I like Lucy, Edmund's okay. And then they have Eustace along with them, one of their cousins. And Eustace is described as this kind of wet white fucking loser. And it was so much fun reading about that, because the way that Eustace is described, one of the ways he's described as a wet wipe who's a loser is that he thinks girls should also be able to be involved and fight. He's like, everyone's like, yo, Lucy, you need to stay behind. And he's like, well, maybe she can fight. And they go, why, you a sissy boy? Like, basically like that. And I was like, oh, shit. So, and like, they talk about him being a vegetarian, and like all these things now that would be completely normal, but they basically call him a beta soy boy cuck for the entire book. And he has to learn not to be a loser by embracing the traditional values of Narnia, such as deep-seated misogyny and believing in God. So that's a straight-up banger. I gave that 2.25 stars because it wasn't bad from a plot perspective, as in it wasn't racist, at least. So, but it was still not a good book. Then we reached
the bar is on the floor.
The bar was in fact on the floor at this point. Then we read The Silver Chair, which unfortunately also doesn't have Edmund and Lucy in it. So now out of the Pevensie kids, that, you know, the main fucking characters from my understanding, we got Eustace and then a Jill who goes to school with him. The Silver Chair was fucking hilarious. So they're at school together, and C.S. Lewis makes sure to let us know that this is a bad school, one of those bad schools that lets boys and girls go to school together, where they learn disgusting things, and as a result, they bully each other all the time. So Jill and Eustace flee to Narnia. They end up, and they do this whole thing with I literally don't even remember the plot of The Silver Chair already. It was so boring. But so they go to Narnia and they do all their stuff. And then they come back, and Aslan goes with them to beat up the kids. God comes with this furious anger with Eustace and Jill, and they have a fight with all these kids. And then the headmaster turns up, who C.S. Lewis makes sure to specify is a woman. And then she breaks down in hysterics because it's crazy what's going on, and she can't accept that God was there because she's a simple woman. So that was fucking nuts. So God beat up some kids with these ones, and then it was at a bad school because it had mixed genders, and the headmistress was a woman, so that's why the school was terrible. If C.S. Lewis was alive today, he would call everyone a female. He would call every woman a female. It would be unbelievable if he was alive today. He'd have the worst podcast to grace God's green earth. And then we reached the last battle, which made me so unbelievably infuriated that I genuinely thought about putting the book through a wall. I cannot believe what I read in the last battle. So there's a monkey... And the monkey and the ass live in a forest together. They're pretty much the only animals that live there, talking animals. And the monkey finds a lion, and the lion's dead. So they skin it and put it on the donkey so it looks like Aslan. And then the monkey starts telling everyone what it should do because they think that the donkey is Aslan. So he's kind of corrupting, he is spewing out the falsities, the bastardization of Aslan's sweet, beautiful word, corrupting God's will. And so we see that the monkey is trying to sell the gorgeous Narnians to these disgusting Calaminis, these despicable savages, as they're referred to, using quite literal a slur to describe how they look. And so the Calaminis take over, and so our beautiful white children from the real world have to come to Narnia to save the day. And the monkey and the Calaminis believe in a god called Tash. So the monkey starts saying, no, guys, you're not thinking straight. Aslan and Tash are the same. They're the same gods. They're the same god. But Tash, the people who believe in Tash just believe in a slightly different word of God. But really it's the same god. Not to make the allegory too on the fucking nose. But of course, one, Aslan is this gorgeous white-filled beauty, and Tash is described as a demon, a dark demon full of dark thoughts, followed by dark people, and Narnia's filled with light people and white people. And the book literally ends with the concept that people who believe in Aslan, as in Christians, should be prepared to die in the fight to stop the spread of demonstrable bastardization such as Tash, otherwise Islam. That is literally the ending and the ideology of the ending of the Chronicles of Narnia, which is fucking bonkers. I could not believe what I was reading. And the other important thing, Susan couldn't come back to Narnia in the last book because she's now a whore. She wears lipstick and she puts like fucking dressings on, or whatever they're called, stockings. So she's out, she's a whore. And then, I'm not even going to spoil the actual ending, but once again, it's fucking, it's just shit. So, yeah. What began as a sweet journey to understand the positioning of Narnia inside of the fantasy canon led to a pure hate read where I was fascinated and disgusted in equal measures, and I now understand why Narnia is no longer popular. I truly have no idea what fucking Greta Gerwig's gonna do to translate that bullshit into any kind of comparable or reasonable adaptation that doesn't completely... You can't do the entire series. Don't do any of it. There's so much stuff. You could do so many things. Narnia again. Alas. That was my month. I hope you enjoyed my fucking cliff notes on what the Chronicles of Narnia is. Sorry to my mum, who loved these books when she was a kid and was really looking forward to me hopefully enjoying them. I hope she did not watch this video. Otherwise, I hope you had a good month. I hope you're having a good start to the new year. And, as always, have a nice rest of your day.